Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Wednesday, the 4th of April, comes to you from London. And we start by looking at the dollar. Dollar continuing to just look a little bit bullish here above the cloud on the short-term chart. Still bearish, of course, in the medium and long term. And we do have these downside targets, but we have reversed the trend here. So dollar just showing a little bit of short-term strength there. And against the euro, we're seeing euro is falling against the dollar, just highlighting that dollar strength, activating downside targets to about the 120 area. And the key thing is, will we break down out of this range below the 122 level? Against the yen, we're seeing dollar just rising here as well. So that's normally a sure sign. What the dollar's doing against the yen gives us quite a good early clue. And we're seeing that dollar strength there. And against sterling, just recovering here as well. So that's quite key. Looking at the sterling against the euro, we're seeing here it's rising quite strongly. So that euro weakness, sterling strength showing through. And against the Swiss franc, we're seeing sterling strength. And against the Australian dollar, relatively flat. So just showing that Australian dollar rising in sympathy with the US dollar there. Bitcoin had quite a good day yesterday, up about 5%, flat this morning, but is in bullish territory on the short-term chart. US stock markets recovered somewhat, about 1% up overall. The S&P index recovered a bit, but we are still below the cloud, both on the medium and short-term charts, and we are testing the support level. This increasingly looking like a descending triangle, so quite a worry there. And if we look at the Nasdaq, much the same picture. It was up about 1% yesterday, but is turning more and more bearish. The Dow also was up, but also bearish below the cloud, and the Russell 2000 index, the broader-based US index, also below the cloud there. So looking at the S&P future, it's down slightly this morning, and the Nasdaq E-mini is down over 2/3%, or just about 2/3%. So it does look like the US markets will open lower again. So more turmoil to come. The FTSE 100 had a pretty poor day yesterday, just struggling at this 7,000 level. So that's quite key as well. And the FTSE 250 also struggling there to get back above the cloud. The Xetra DAX, the German market, did recover a little bit, but it is still looking very bearish in the short and medium term, as are all major indices now, really. And the CAC, much the same picture in France. Japanese market was little changed overnight, and we see we're just starting to try and get through the cloud on the short-term chart. And the Hang Seng was also down slightly. The Chinese market was up slightly, and the Indian market trying to recover as well, just coming back through the cloud. And the Aussie market was down very slightly. So interestingly, we're just seeing this general sell-off, multi-month lows being quite a characteristic. Brent crude is just back into the mid-high 60s. It was above $70, of course, last week, but we're back below the cloud here, sitting at about 67.50 at the moment. So just coming back in the short term. Medium-term chart is still bullish. Same true of WTI, of course, and US nat gas sitting at $2.70. Taking a look at gold, gold fell back quite sharply yesterday, but it is making a bullish transition all the same through the cloud. So gold is looking better, and as we see some turmoil in markets, that chart may well rise. We've got some good upside targets still sitting there. And silver, much the same picture. US Treasury yield sitting at 2.78%, have struggled to really recover there. And if we take a look at Apple, we see Apple shares did recover yesterday, but they are still bearish. Amazon also has been a really big sell-off last few days, recovered about 1.5% of its value yesterday. So still teetering along the bottom, not bearish yet on the medium-term cloud, unlike many other stocks. And looking at Google, we see here very clear bearish transition on the medium term, downside targets, and still bearish. Facebook just sitting in those 150s. It's hard to believe it was as high as 190 at one point just over a month ago. So Facebook really has come off, And looking at Microsoft, we are still in a long-term bull trend. The medium-term bull trend is in track, but the short-term is looking pretty bearish too. That's it for today. Keep an eye on that US market opening. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.